Hello friends, it's Noor. Today I'll show you how to make a set of travel organizers or packing cubes. These are very useful for keeping your suitcase organized whenever you're traveling. The pattern comes in 4 sizes. The small set has extra small and small, and the large set has large and extra large. They're made to nest perfectly inside a cabin-sized suitcase, and they have some really cool features. First, you have a back strap to get the cube in and out of the suitcase easily. Next, it has a double zipper, so it opens from both sides. And lastly, my personal favorite, a see-through pocket on the inside where you can conveniently find stuff you want to keep accessible. If you would like to make your own, you'll find the pattern linked in the description. Let's get started. Start by cutting your main fabric a bit larger than the pattern pieces, then press it really well to remove all the wrinkles so it looks crease-free when you fuse it. There are 2 different types of interfacing for this project, a lighter one which will be used exclusively for the strap to prevent it from looking stiff, and a medium weight interfacing for the rest of the pattern pieces. I'm using the block fusing method, which means you first cut the interfacing pattern pieces, fuse them to the wrong side of the fabric, then cut the shapes following the interfacing edges. This prevents any unwanted seam mismatch, but you can use any fusing method you prefer. Repeat on the pattern pieces that require interfacing, which are the side top, the side bottom, the side back, and the optional strap. Moving on to the lining fabric. Cut the 2 bodies, the side top, the side bottom, and the side back out of the lining fabric. Now it's time to mark all the notches on the right side of the fabric using a pen. The side bottom has a center front and side notches on both the top and bottom. Same thing for the side top, main and lining fabric. The body has a center front, a center back, and side notches on both the main and lining fabric. If you want to add the optional inside pockets, take one of the lining pieces and mark the pocket placement notches. The side back has the optional strap placement notches on the short seam and the center back on the long seam, which I forgot to mark in this clip. You need a zipper. I'm using zipper by the meter. Next, this is the elastic channel pattern piece for the optional pockets, and this one is the zipper pull pattern. You also need an elastic. The length is indicated on the body pattern, and you need a single fold bias tape. For the inside pockets, you need some type of mesh. I'm using tulle. It's the fabric used for the underskirt of wedding dresses. Again, this is the strap pattern. And lastly, you need 2 zipper pulls per cube. If your zipper is creased just like mine, press the zipper tape before using it for a nice finish. Only then you can attach the zipper pulls. Start by trimming the ends by 1 cm and use a lighter to seal the raw edges. To insert the pull, start by carefully observing the tip of the zipper and take note of where the last tooth is. For my case, it's on the left side. Then carefully separate the teeth by a few centimeters. Insert the pull on the side that has the last tooth, then insert the other side. Place it on a flat surface, secure the very end using 2 fingers, and use your other hand to lightly zip the pull. Now examine the tip and make sure the teeth return to their original position before separating the teeth. As you can see, I messed up the first time. That's why my zipper looks wonky. It might take a few tries, okay? Just be patient. I went ahead and inserted it off camera and repeated the same steps for the other side. When close together, the tape should look nice and straight. That's how you know it was done correctly. Now it's time to construct the side. Zip both pulls to one end. Be careful not to zip them out completely. Take the side bottom main fabric and place it on the zipper seam, right sides facing, then pin using clips. Now flip it and place the bottom side lining on top, right sides down, and use the notches for alignment. Secure with clips as you go. Stitch with a 1 cm seam allowance using a zipper foot. Turn the fabric right side out to expose the second seam of the zipper tape. That's where you will attach the side top following the same steps. Make sure the short seams align with the bottom side to make sure everything aligns. Now that you're done stitching, turn everything right side out and press the seams flat on both sides. Now top stitch 1/2 centimeter away from the zipper seam on both sides. Lastly, zip the pulls to the center and trim off the excess zipper tape. As you can see, the short edge seams don't line up perfectly. Don't worry, this is usually just due to the pattern cutting being off by a few millimeters. Use the measurements indicated on the pattern to check the correct height, then trim away any excess. To make the strap, fold the fabric lengthwise and press to create a center crease. Unfold, then fold both long raw edges to meet the center and press. Lastly, fold it on top of itself. Pin the open fold using clips and stitch using a 2 mm seam allowance. Use a ruler or the paper pattern to mark the center of the strap's raw edges. Then use them as guides to pin the strap to the side back outer fabric. Take it to your sewing machine and baste using a 1/2 centimeter seam allowance. Now place the short seam of the side back on the zipper panel, right sides facing, pin using clips, then flip it and place the lining right sides facing as well and secure with clips. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch with a 1 centimeter seam allowance. To stitch the other side, we will use the burrito method, where you basically take the other short seam of the side back main fabric, bring it all the way to the second zipper panel seam, and pin using clips. Flip to the other side, then roll the zipper panel, and take the side back lining from underneath and bring it to meet the seam of the zipper from the lining side, right sides facing. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch using a 1 centimeter seam allowance. Now unroll the burrito and you will reveal a loop which will sit on the sides of the cube. So let's call it the side loop from now on. Press the side back seams from the inside and outside. Now baste the lining and outer fabric together 1/2 centimeter away from the raw edge to prevent them from shifting during assembly. Now top stitch the strap to reinforce it for the small sets, so one line of stitching on each side 1.5 centimeter away from the seam. For the large sets, start with a first line of 1.5 centimeter. Then add a second line 4.5 centimeter away from the first one and finish by stitching an X for extra reinforcement. Make sure the stitching on the straps faces the bottom side and not the top. I mistakenly stitched it the wrong way, but this is how it should look like. Do not backstitch at all. Instead, pull the top thread to the wrong side, tie in knots, and use a needle to hide the thread between the outer and lining layers. To make the inside pocket, first take the elastic channel pattern and enclose the raw edges similar to what we did for the strap. So press to create a center crease, unfold, then press the long raw edges towards the center, and lastly fold this on top of itself. Take the inside pockets pattern, then insert the straight seam in the fold of the elastic channel. Pin using clips and stitch using 2mm seam allowance from the mesh seam. Next, take a safety pin and pin it to the end of the elastic and use it to insert the elastic into the channel and to pull it through. Secure both ends using a few rows of stitching. Now take the lining body with the pocket notches and use these notches to position the pocket and pin it. You will notice that the bottom of the mesh is larger than the lining seam. What you need to do is to add a few pleats to the mesh and pin it so that it fits. Take it to the sewing machine and baste using a 1/2 cm seam allowance. Lastly, trim off any excess mesh fabric. Before assembling the cube, baste the lining and outer fabric together. Make sure to use the notches to ensure alignments. At this point, you will end up with 2 body pieces and 1 side loop. Keep the top body aside for now and turn the side loop inside out. Now we will start pinning. First, match the center back notches together and pin, then the center front notches, and lastly the side notches. Next, pin the remaining straight seams. You will notice the corners of the side loop are tighter than the body, but don't worry. Use fabric shears to cut 7mm notches around the corner, then push the fabric so it spreads and lay flat to match the body seam curvature. Use clips to secure. Repeat on all 3 remaining corners. Take it to your sewing machine and stitch with a 1 cm seam allowance. As you approach the corners, slow down and sew just a few stitches at a time. If you notice a pucker or need to make a sharper turn, stop with the needle down, lift the presser foot, and very carefully adjust the fabric. Lower the presser foot and continue sewing. Repeat as needed until the corner is fully sewn. I'm keeping the clip for the second corner so you can see this more clearly. Once you're done sewing the bottom, open the zipper completely and repeat on the top. This step is very important, otherwise you will not be able to open the cube once the top is stitched. Congrats on successfully assembling the cube. Now all that's left is to add the finishing touches. First, cut small triangles on the body seam of the corners. This reduces the tension and makes the corners get that perfectly rounded look on the outside. Just be careful to not cut the stitch in. Repeat on all top and bottom corners. Next, reduce the bulk of the seam by 3 mm on the top and bottom again. And lastly, attach the bias tape. So take the bias tape and open it and fold one end by 1 cm to the wrong side and place it right sides together with the body and pin using clips all around the seam. When you reach the starting point, overlap the end by 3 cm. I'm switching to a darker thread to match the bias tape. Stitch on the first fold line, making sure not to go past the body stitching. You can switch to a zipper foot just like I did if you find your normal foot challenging to work with. Before folding the bias tape, trim the overlap tape at an angle, then fold it to cover the raw edge and secure with clips. Lastly, stitch 2 mm away from the fold. Repeat these same steps on the second seam. If you want to add the zipper pulls, take the zipper pull pattern and enclose the raw edges similar to what we did for the strap. So press to create a center crease, unfold, then press the long raw edges towards the center, and lastly fold it on top of itself. Pin the open fold using clips and stitch using 2 mm seam allowance. Then cut in half to get 2 equal length straps. Insert one strap through the zipper hole and tie a knot. I like to cut the ends at an angle, and lastly I apply clear nail polish to the raw edges to prevent fraying. Repeat on the other side and you're done. Take a moment to admire your finished products. If you decide to make your own, please share your creation with me. I would love to see them.